And speaking of that, there's this podcast I listen. It's called the Battlefield Show by Uplink Podcast, and they were discussing differences between, Battlefield 2042 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. What's better, what's worse, or how they like complement maybe each other and so on. It was a good conversation. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 this year introduced a third-person mode, so you can play the game in third person. And DICE already did that with Star Wars Battlefront 2, and they were discussing, what if Battlefield, the franchise itself, adds third-person mode? Would you be interested in that?
No.
Really?
No, I really wouldn't be. Because if I want a third-person shooter, I'll go play a third-person shooter that's actually catered and, set up for third-person shooting. Because I know this is going to sound like really odd to some people, but to me, you can't just snap transition between first person and third person. It doesn't always work out right, because third person shooters usually require like harder cover mechanics, like actually sticking to a wall, like say for instance Metal Gear Solid and Gears of War. Like those games are catered for third person with a first person view for aiming down sights and stuff like that, which makes sense. But to do it the opposite way around, it doesn't really make much of sense to me. And I know, like I said, there's going to be some people out there that are going to be like, well, whatever. It's just a jarring thing. I don't think it's something that Battlefield necessarily needs, so I don't really see the point of it. It's always been first-person shooter. All of the mechanics, the shooting, and everything is all set up for a first-person standpoint. Third-person vehicle views is about the most acceptable thing there is to it, because it's not really the hugest thing in the world. But I mean, imagine if the game forced you in first-person, all the time, regardless. People would lose their fucking minds. But I just don't see a need for it. I don't see a need for it, and I don't see it being something that would work in Battlefield, because Battlefield is first person. Everything's, and again, it might just be the old codger in me starting to act up and say this shit, but it doesn't belong.
Oh, I get.
You see, for what I'm saying is, imagine if Fortnite, which is predominantly third person, right? There's no forced first person. Imagine if they came out with a forced first person mode. How many people would kind of be upset about it, and how possibly broken certain things might be.
Ray, there's actually leaks that Fortnite might be adding a first-person mode.
Oh, God.
There's leaks. Not confirmed, of course. It's never confirmed. But there's some code being added to the game that they might be introducing a first-person mode into the game. Now, thing is, I think that if Fortnite actually introduces first-person mode, I think that we're going to do it is going to be a separate mode like it is right now with building and no-building modes. Because right now you can matchmake two different modes, basically. Build normal Fortnite and no building Fortnite. So if you want to just play without building, you can matchmake to that as normal and play normal Battle Royale. And if you want to play normal Fortnite with building, you play normal Fortnite with... So that's what they have. So if they introduce a first person, I don't think it's going to be, switching between first person and third person in the game. I think it's going to be a separate mode if it's a first person. So
fair enough.
That's how I think they're going to happen.
Battlefield, I really just don't see a need for it. To be 100% perfectly frank.
What about Star Wars Battlefront? I think they did third person and first person perfectly.
Yeah, they did, but that game's always had that transitional jump. You know what I mean?
True. Well, the franchise, yeah.
But again, that is using an example of a franchise that was built around that concept. Battlefield, again, never was really built around first person or around third person concept. It's always first person and occasional third person.
You know what? I would actually love to see them introducing third person to Battlefield 2042 as a separate mode. I would love to, because honestly, if they actually can do that into this game, I think that would actually bring a lot of new people to the game, or the people that said no to this game originally when it came out, it might bring them back. just to try out, which is nice. If anything that Battlefield 2042 needs is something to make it exciting, and it might sound really unpopular, like you said, it's probably not the right franchise for it, but third-person mode, I mean, it can work in 2042, funny enough. I think it can work if they do it correctly. Because the way Modern Warfare, for example, does it, it's fine, but you can tell it's not refined. And then you look at Star Wars Battlefront, the first one and the second one from, 2015 and 2017? Those are the years that came out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those games are fantastic in third person. Like, it's amazing. You can switch to first person and third person. Doesn't matter which mode you're playing.
Yeah, and it's perfectly fucking seamless.
It's seamless. It's fantastic. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's just... cameras work so well. That's why I love Battlefront 2. Like, I haven't played for a while, but damn, when it comes to third person, like, shooting and everything, it's fantastic. So if they can just copy that and add it to 2042, I will probably really enjoy 2042 just for that. Now, granted, if the next game should have a first person mode, or third person mode, I don't know, because like you said, it is based on that first person, what do you call it? Feel, maybe a narrative or whatever. Like, you play Battlefield for first person type of stuff, but third person doesn't sound too bad, honestly, to me personally.
For certain circumstances, I could understand it. But here's the other thing that you got to keep in mind, and this is another reason why I'm not against saying that third person shouldn't be in Battlefield. I'm just saying it just won't fit with the gunplay and everything, because here's the thing that you have to consider. You can walk up to the edge of a corner, okay, in a first-person game. Say, just for reference sake.
You mean like corner peeking and stuff, right?
Yes, it is a different thing when you're playing a third-person shooter game, because you don't actually have to peek the corner to see around it in a third-person game. You just get up close enough so that you can rotate the camera around in order to see down the hallway that you're after. In first-person, you actually have to lean that corner in order to see. You actually have to look up over cover. And in third-person, you don't have to worry about that. You have a constant, bigger, wider field of view that you can constantly see. Your character can be down behind cover, and you can see everything that's going on up and over it without actually having to put yourself in jeopardy. And that right there is one of the core reasons why I'm like, in some cases, jumping between the two doesn't necessarily make for a better shooter. That's why I've always liked Battlefield being, completely locked to first person as far as the gunplay and everything goes, and only allowing third person in like certain circumstances, like using the wingsuit, which I've seen that's happened. Like, if they want to make it so that using like a grappling hook or some shit is just like a third person animation, that's fine. Third person viewing in a vehicle, because that's how it's always been. If they're going to change this, what I have an feeling is what people are going to find out rapidly is that third person is going to have the advantage over first person specific only players. And unless it's something that's like locked, like, being able to use a controller on PC, because I'm pretty sure they have that in place where you're not going to get mixed up with mouse and keyboard users. You'll get tossed into matches with more console players because you're playing on a controller with aim assist on. That's pretty much going to be the exact same crutch. You're only going to be playing with people who have third-person mode turned on because of that fact alone. So that's why I'm saying, like, the two, they can mix. Again, we Battlefront is the exact same way, but again, that game was geared and catered, and the level designing and everything was all done with that mixture in mind. 2042 wasn't. This is an afterthought now, and what they're going to find out is, again, they're going to find a lot of problems like that. So that's why I say, that's why I'm like, no, I don't really think it needs to even be worried about. Yeah, it sounds good on paper, but you actually think about the practicalities and the effects of that, I don't think it's going to be good.
Fair enough. Yeah, basically the guys on the podcast, they kind of, one of them was also questioning, like, it might not be good. It sounds good on paper, but will it be good? Yeah, I agree. There's some question marks about it, and I fully agree. But I'll not say no to experimenting a little bit. Especially, you could, like if you can make a separate mode, just a mode, for just to test the waters for Battlefield 2042, for example. Just if you have the team, and if you're keeping this game alive for another a year or two, maybe you can like use the same code that you use for Star Wars Battlefront and maybe use it for this game just to test the waters out, just to see how people react.
Yeah.
But you're right. It also depends on the map design. Corner peeking was never really an issue in Battlefront, just because the way the maps were designed. But I can imagine the way the maps are designed right now in Battlefield 42, or like any Battlefield game in that matter, because there are moments like it's close quarters, like you're inside the building, and there's loads of corners to check, peek from, and so on. So yeah, there could be
some. You get through the process of pretty much sweeping and clearing your entire surroundings a lot quicker with third person. Because again, you can just park yourself somewhere where you're in cover, you can't get shot at, and you can just swivel that camera around and look around, as far as you want, and your gun will be aimed there too in most cases. So that's why I said, like, I don't. Again, I'm not downing the idea about it, but there's just ramifications and details of it that kind of really need to be seriously looked at before somebody's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I get the concerns, but it's just mostly curiosity. I would not say no to try it.
My next $10 million question: How is projectile spawning done? Is it done from actually within the gun itself, or is it done with how some first-person shooters do it, where
from the eyes,
the projectile actually comes from the camera itself?
Yeah.
Because if you change over to third person. Again, the devil's in the details here.
All the Battlefield games, which is Battlefield 4, 1, and 5, they spawn from the gun. They changed that to do it from the gun. Apparently, this new code started doing it from the gun, but people find out it still spawns the bullets from the camera. So I don't know if that's implemented or someone got it wrong. With 2042. I don't know why, but I think it spawns from the camera. I think. Yeah. Just because...
So now you're potentially creating an issue where if you change over to third person, your whole aiming system needs to be retuned and retweaked in order to accommodate that fact.
Well, yeah, there's not going to be an easy thing to just move the camera behind the character.
Snap my fingers and suddenly I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
either.
I do get.
What I am saying is there is a lot of detail work that has to be put in, and a lot of studying, as it were, so that if and when such a thing comes, it's not a completely jarring thing as far as relearning how to shoot, because it is completely different from shooting in third person to shooting in first person. You got more fine-tuned aim in first person. I've always firmly believed it. You got a better visual on your target. You don't have your own character model blocking you, because a lot of third-person shooters, when you go into an ADS, one of two things happens. You either go into first-person mode in order to ADS, or you go into an over-the-shoulder view, which your character model obstructs a good third of your screen. So that has to be accounted for as well. Are we going to have the character model fade out a little bit when the camera pulls in up over the shoulder so that you can still see your full field of view? How quickly are we going to allow the camera in order to move around, in order to aim? Are we going to have it the same as what it should be in first person, or are we going to slow it down because it's third person now? And you can see a lot more mesh deformations on your character as they're aiming around. Like there is a lot more that has to be considered other than just move the camera over the shoulder of the character and set it to follow, done. It's not a simple thing. And I just hope that if they're adamant about doing it, they do their due diligence. They test it repeatedly, properly, over and over and over, 50 million ways from Sunday, and they make sure that it's right and it's acceptable. Because if it's not, it'll be tore apart by the community.
Yeah,
you'll never see the light of day again.
That's true. And when Battlefield community bitches about something, they bitch forever.
They gonna get their way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not that it's a bad thing, because I mean, in some cases, that is a good thing. When a community says, "Hey, don't do this," and the game developers are cool enough, and we'll be like, "All right, well, we tried something new, and we have the humility in order to say, okay, it didn't work. Let's try again. Let's never do it again, but try again doing something else."
Hence why classes are coming back to the game.
Oh yes, it makes me a happy boy.
It'll be a better experience, right, with classes, for sure.
Yeah, because again, the game was not catered around them. They're being interjected now.
Yep. But yeah, season 3. It's okay. Nothing special. Waiting for the classes. And yeah, the third person mode, I was literally listening to the podcast, and I'm thinking, that's actually a good discussion, and I want to hear the opinion. Which I do not mind, third person. But I do understand the problems that might come with it. But then again, the whole franchise has a lot of problems that need to be fixing anyway, so... Alright, speaking of Battlefield, do you know that Sony threw Battlefield under the bus?